Have you ever noticed something strange about people who truly enjoy retirement? It's not that they have more money. It's not that they're busier. And it's definitely not that they've figured out some secret formula the rest of us missed. It's actually the opposite. They've simply stopped doing certain things. And what's surprising, what keeps showing up again and again when you talk to hundreds of retirees, is this. The difference between a retirement that feels full and one that feels frustrating often comes down to just a handful of habits. Quiet ones, the kind you don't even realize are slowly stealing your future joy. Because once you hit your mid-50s, something shifts. Time starts to feel different. Energy starts to feel different. And what used to work for decades suddenly doesn't serve you the same way anymore. So in this video, we're going to walk through 7 things you should seriously consider stopping after age 55 if you want a better, more fulfilling retirement. And I'll be honest with you, number 4 is the one that trips up even the most successful, responsible people I've worked with. It's subtle, it feels productive, but it can quietly cost you years of happiness you'll never get back. Let's start with something almost everyone does, and almost no one questions. 1. Stop taking time for granted. When you're younger, time feels infinite. You think in decades. You assume there will always be another summer, another chance to take that trip, another opportunity to fix the relationship or start the hobby. But somewhere in your 50s, the math changes. You start doing the quiet calculation. If I live to 85, how many good summers do I really have left? I've sat across from too many people who finally had the money and the freedom, but the body or the circumstances had already changed. One man I remember, let's call him Robert, worked until 67 because just one more year kept turning into another. He and his wife had always talked about hiking the trails out west together. They had the RV. They had the time off saved up. But by the time he retired, his knees and her breathing made those long walks impossible. He told me, "I kept waiting for the perfect window. It never came." Contrast that with Eleanor. At 58, she looked at her calendar and said, "If I don't take that trip with my sister this year, I might not get another chance while we can both still dance every night." She went. They laughed until they cried. 2 years later, her sister's health changed. Eleanor still tears up when she talks about that trip, but they're grateful tears. Here's the truth that hits hard after 55. Money can grow back, investments can recover, but time only moves in one direction. The people who light up in retirement aren't the ones who waited for perfect conditions. They're the ones who started treating their remaining years like the precious, non-renewable resource they actually are. So what does that look like practically? It might mean finally booking the trip instead of adding it to the someday list. It might mean having the hard conversation with your spouse or kids this month instead of putting it off another year. It might mean protecting 2 hours every week for something that actually fills your soul instead of just filling your calendar. Ask yourself honestly, what have I been postponing that would matter most if I only had 5 good years left? That question has a way of cutting through the noise. 2. Stop over-saving out of fear. Now this one feels responsible. It even feels wise, but it can quietly become a prison. Saving and planning are good. Security matters, especially when you've seen markets crash and healthcare costs rise. But there comes a point where saving more isn't about math anymore. It's about fear. Fear of running out, fear of looking foolish, fear of losing control. And that fear keeps people working years longer than they need to. It keeps them living smaller than their resources actually allow. I've met retirees with $1.5 million or more who still agonize over every restaurant bill and refuse to visit their grandkids because the flight is too expensive right now. Meanwhile, the market does what markets do. Their health does what health does. And the experiences they kept postponing never happen. One couple I knew had saved aggressively for decades. They could have retired comfortably at 60. Instead, they pushed to 67 just to be safe. By the time they stopped working, the husband's energy was lower and the wife had developed some mobility issues. They had the money. They just didn't have the same capacity to enjoy it. The goal was never to die with the biggest pile. The goal was to live while you still can. This doesn't mean spend recklessly. It means stop letting fear write your retirement story. It means running the real numbers with a trusted advisor, understanding your safe withdrawal rate, and then giving yourself permission to enjoy some of what you've built, especially in the early years when your health is most likely to support it. Because here's what the research and real life both show. Many retirees regret underspending early in retirement, far more than they regret being a little too careful with money. You worked decades for this freedom. Don't let fear steal the best chapters. 3. Stop sacrificing your health for everything else. This might be the most important one on the entire list. For years, or sometimes decades, people put their health on the back burner. They tell themselves, I'll focus on that after the kids are grown, after this project, after I hit this number. Then one day they wake up in their late 50s or early 60s and realize later arrived faster than expected. Low energy, chronic aches, the slow loss of mobility or independence, and suddenly retirement isn't about freedom anymore. It's about managing limitations. I've seen people retire with plenty of money who can't travel because their back won't let them sit on a plane for more than 2 hours. I've seen others with far less money who hike, dance, and play with their grandkids every week because they protected their health while they still could. Retirement isn't just about having time. It's about having the physical and mental capacity to enjoy that time. The good news? It's rarely too late to improve how you feel. But the earlier you start treating your health like a core part of your retirement plan, not an afterthought, the more years you get to actually live the life you save for. Walk every day, protect your sleep, get the checkups you've been putting off. Eat in a way that gives you energy instead of just filling your plate. Your future self, the one who wants to say yes to adventures, is counting on the choices you make right now. 4. Stop worrying about things you can't control. This is the one that catches almost everyone. As you get older, it becomes tempting to try to predict and control everything. The markets, the economy, politics, your adult children's choices, your health, the future. A certain amount of planning is wise. Constant worrying is not. Worry keeps you living in the future instead of the present. It robs you of the very moments retirement was supposed to give you back. I've watched people check their 401k balance every single morning, read every alarming headline, and replay what-if scenarios about things that never actually happened. Meanwhile, their spouse is sitting right there. Their grandkids are growing up. The sun is shining on a perfectly good Tuesday that will never come again. The markets will rise and fall. The news will always find something to panic about. Your adult children will make their own choices. You cannot control those things. But you can control how you respond. You can control where you put your attention. You can control whether you show up fully for the life that's actually happening right in front of you. The retirees who seem most at peace aren't the ones who eliminated uncertainty. They're the ones who stopped letting uncertainty run their days. Practical ways to loosen worry's grip. Limit news consumption to once a day or less. Have a simple worry time, 10 minutes in the morning where you write down concerns, then close the notebook and live the rest of the day. Focus on the circle of things you can actually influence today. Because no amount of worry will add a single day to your life or subtract a single problem from it. It only steals the days you have. 5. Stop surrounding yourself with negative people. This one becomes more important after 55 than most people realize. Your environment shapes your mindset. Your mindset shapes how you experience every single day. If you're constantly around people who complain, who see problems everywhere, who drain your energy with their negativity, it doesn't matter how much money you have or how beautiful your surroundings are. You won't fully enjoy any of it. On the flip side, when you intentionally spend time with people who are curious, engaged, and genuinely excited about life, even in small ways, everything starts to feel lighter. Conversations get better. Energy rises. Perspective shifts. After 55, you don't have unlimited time to waste in environments that slowly make you smaller. This might mean gently pulling back from certain relationships or groups. It might mean actively seeking out new ones, a hiking club, a volunteer organization, a class, a faith community, or even just 1 or 2 positive friends who make you laugh and think bigger. You get to curate your circle now. Choose people who add to your life instead of subtracting from it. 6. Stop living for other people's expectations. This is a heavy one that many people carry for decades without realizing it. They chose careers, lifestyles, even financial habits based on what parents, spouses, kids, or society expected. They kept performing roles long after those roles stopped fitting. Then somewhere in the 50s or 60s, a quiet question starts to surface. Whose life am I actually living? After 55, you finally have the clarity and the permission to ask that question out loud. The truth is, there will always be opinions about how you should spend your retirement, where you should live, how much you should help the kids, what you should be doing with your time. But there won't always be time. The people who create the most satisfying retirements are the ones who gradually let go of the need to please everyone and start making decisions based on what actually matters to them. That might look like moving to a warmer climate even if the kids wanted you closer. It might look like saying no to constant babysitting so you can protect your own energy in marriage. It might look like finally pursuing the hobby or interest everyone else thought was impractical. You've spent decades being responsible for other people. Retirement can be the season where you become responsibly selfish in the best possible way, taking care of your own joy so you actually have something to give. 7. Stop drifting through life without a clear sense of purpose. This might be the biggest non-financial challenge in retirement. For 30 or 40 years, work gave you structure, identity, colleagues, and a reason to get up and contribute. When that disappears overnight, many people feel surprisingly lost, even if they were excited to retire. Days blend together. Motivation fades. Some people quietly slip into depression or a low-level sense of meaninglessness. Purpose doesn't have to be grand or complicated. It just has to give your days direction and meaning. It could be mentoring younger people in your old field. It could be volunteering 2 mornings a week. It could be finally learning to play an instrument, writing family stories, building things in a workshop, or deepening your faith. It could be becoming the grandparent who shows up fully instead of being distracted. The happiest retirees I've seen aren't the ones who simply stopped working. They're the ones who replaced work with something that still makes them feel useful, curious, and connected. Purpose isn't something you find once and keep forever. It often evolves. But the people who thrive are the ones who keep asking, what gives my life meaning right now? And then take small steps toward it. When you look at all 7 of these together, a clear pattern emerges. A better life after 55 isn't usually about adding more things. It's about removing what no longer serves you, removing the habits that quietly drain your time, your energy, your presence, and your potential. Creating space for what actually matters at this stage of life. This chapter isn't about slowing down and fading away. It's about becoming more intentional, more present, more aligned with the life you actually want to live while you still have the health and freedom to enjoy it. So here's my question for you. Which one of these 7 hit you the hardest? Which one have you been doing, maybe without even realizing it, that's quietly costing you joy? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and your story might help someone else who's feeling the same way. If this video gave you something to think about, do me a favor and hit the like button. It helps more people in their 50s, 60s, and beyond find these conversations. And if you're serious about making sure your retirement is set up for the life you actually want, not just the one you're afraid of running out of money for, check the link in the description. We put together a simple retirement readiness quiz that takes about 3 minutes and gives you clarity on where you stand. You've worked hard for decades. You've earned this next chapter. Don't let old habits write the ending for you. Start letting go of what's holding you back and start building the retirement you've been dreaming about. I'll see you in the next